Lakers' decisive victory over Warriors. Luka and Mark Williams stand out. On an electrifying night, the Los Angeles Lakers secured a decisive victory over the Golden State Warriors, demonstrating dominance on the court and reinforcing their position in the season. With outstanding performances, the Los Angeles team was able to contain the Warriors' attacks and impose their pace of play, securing a crucial victory. Among the highlights of the round, Luka Dončić once again showing why he is one of the most impactful players in the league. His ability to control the game, combined with an impeccable offensive performance, reinforced his superstar status. In addition, Mark Williams played a fundamental role, dominating the paint and contributing rebounds and defensive presence. His evolution has been remarkable, bringing solidity to his team and consolidating himself as a key player in the tactical scheme. The Lakers' victory not only strengthens the team's fight for a better position in the standings, but also reignites the rivalry with the Warriors, making the season even more exciting for basketball fans. With this victory, the Lakers reaffirmed their strength in the Western Conference, while the Warriors face more questions about their consistency this season. LeBron James and Anthony Davis were key players in the triumph, combining experience and intensity to lead the team in decisive moments. The Lakers' defense also stood out, managing to limit shots from Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, something essential to contain the Warriors' explosive attack. Meanwhile, Luka Dončić continues to build on his MVP campaign. The Dallas Mavericks star put in another stellar performance this round, masterfully leading his team and making it clear that he is among the most dominant players in the game today. His game control, tactical intelligence and ability to score in crucial moments make him a constant threat to any opponent. Mark Williams continues to draw attention as one of the league's greatest prospects. His defensive presence in the paint has been a difference-maker for his team, securing important rebounds and commanding respect against opposing centers. His development is an indication that he could become one of the NBA's top big men in the coming years. As the season progresses, both the Lakers and Warriors need to adjust for the challenges that lie ahead. While the Angelinos celebrate a crucial victory, the Warriors know they need to find solutions quickly to keep their hopes of a winning campaign alive. Luka and Mark Williams continue to show that the future of the NBA is in good hands. With performances that raise the level of competitiveness in the league. With this victory, the Lakers demonstrate that they are still a team to be feared in the playoffs, especially when they manage to balance offense and defense. The experience of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, combined with good contributions from the supporting cast, means that the Los Angeles team remains one of the most dangerous in the league. However, the big question remains whether the Lakers can maintain this consistency until the end of the regular season and carry this momentum into the postseason. On the other side, the Warriors need to rethink their strategy. Stephen Curry remains the heart of the team, but the lack of consistency of his teammates has been a constant problem. Klay Thompson, once one of the best shooters in the league, has been oscillating between great performances and lackluster games. Draymond Green, always a crucial defensive piece, has struggled to maintain his best form and lead the team in difficult moments. For Golden State, adjustments will be essential if they want to compete on equal terms with the best teams in the NBA. Meanwhile, Luka Dončić continues to delight NBA fans with historic performances. Averaging points and assists worthy of a legitimate MVP candidate, he has carried the Mavericks and demonstrated an even greater improvement in his reading of the game. His ability to create plays for himself and his teammates makes him one of the most complete players in the league. If Dallas can surround him with the right pieces, the team could become a real threat in the West. Mark Williams has established himself as one of the most promising young talents this season. His work in the paint has been fundamental to the success of the Charlotte Hornets, who see the center as a defensive pillar for the coming years. If he continues to develop at this pace, Williams could become one of the NBA's great rim protectors and an essential piece for any team that aims to be competitive in the future. With the season heating up and the playoffs approaching, the NBA landscape remains wide open. The Lakers have shown they can still compete with the best. The Warriors need to find answers. Luka Dončić continues his impressive campaign and Mark Williams emerges as a prospect to watch. The outcome of this season promises to be electrifying, with fierce rivalries and players giving their all to achieve ultimate NBA glory. As the regular season approaches its final stretch, each game becomes even more crucial, both for teams looking to secure a direct spot in the playoffs and for those fighting for the play-in. The Lakers' victory over the Warriors not only reinforces the potential of the Angelino team, but also exposes the weaknesses of a Golden State that has not yet found the consistency necessary to compete among the best. With LeBron James defying the clock and Anthony Davis remaining healthy and dominant in the paint, the Lakers can dream of a deep playoff run. The big question mark, however, remains the supporting cast. Players like D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, and Rui Hachimura need to maintain consistency for the team to sustain its high level of competitiveness. If they can do that, Los Angeles could become a real threat to any opponent in the postseason. The Warriors, on the other hand, face a dilemma. The team still relies too much on Stephen Curry's genius, and when long-range shots aren't falling, the offensive difficulties become evident. In addition, the defense, which was the basis for recent titles, has not been as solid. The franchise needs to decide whether to seek reinforcements before the trade deadline or whether to trust the current roster to try to win another title under Steve Kerr. Meanwhile, Luka Dončić continues to write his name in NBA history. The Dallas Mavericks star has carried the team night after night, delivering MVP performances and showing that he is ready to take his franchise to the next level. The big question for Dallas will be surrounding him with enough talent so that he doesn't have to carry so much weight alone. Kyrie Irving has been an important partner, but the team still needs more depth to solidify itself as a true contender in the West. Finally, Mark Williams continues to show his worth for the Charlotte Hornets. Amid a difficult season for his team, the young center has stood out with his presence in the paint, both defensively and in offensive rebounding. His development is a positive point for the future of the franchise, which is looking to rebuild around LaMelo Ball and other young players. If he continues to develop, Williams could become one of the best defensive centers in the NBA in the coming years. With so many narratives unfolding, the NBA season promises even more excitement in the coming weeks. The Lakers have shown they still have fuel left in the tank. The Warriors need to find solutions. Luka continues his journey to greatness, and Mark Williams continues his rise as one of the league's top prospects. The road to the playoffs will be intense, and each game could be decisive for the fate of these teams and their protagonists. With the final stretch of the regular season approaching, the NBA landscape is becoming increasingly unpredictable. The Lakers' victory over the Warriors was not only a major milestone for the Los Angeles team, but also a reflection of the tightness and extreme competitiveness in the Western Conference. Each game now becomes a crucial battle, with teams looking to solidify their positions in the standings or desperately fight for a spot in the play-in. Lakers, on track for playoff consistency. The big question for the Lakers will be maintaining this level of performance consistently. LeBron James continues to defy logic with high-level performances, while Anthony Davis, when healthy, is one of the best big men in the league. What can define the team's fate, however, is the performance of the supporting actors. If players like D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, and Rui Hachimura can remain productive, the Lakers could surprise in the playoffs. Additionally, the defense needs to remain intense, especially when facing teams with explosive offenses like the Nuggets, Clippers, and Suns. Warriors, the end of an era? On the other hand, the Warriors are going through a difficult time. Stephen Curry is still playing at a very high level, but the team has been missing the offensive and defensive consistency that marked their winning campaigns. Klay Thompson is struggling and has not been able to be the same relentless shooter he was in previous seasons. Draymond Green, although a key defensive player, has also been dealing with discipline problems and injuries, which has been damaging the team's stability. With the trade deadline approaching, the big question for Golden State is whether they will invest in a partial overhaul or trust the core that has already brought them so much success. Luka Dončić, Oano to MVP. If there's one player who has emerged as a legitimate MVP contender, it's Luka Dončić. With impressive stats and performances that push the boundaries of talent, the Slovenian has led the Mavericks on a solid run. The challenge for Dallas, however, is providing a supporting cast strong enough to ease the burden on their star player. Kyrie Irving has been a key offensive partner, but the lack of depth could be a hindrance in the playoffs. If the Mavericks can bolster their roster in the trade window, Luka may have his best chance to take Dallas far this season. Mark Williams, the evolution of a promising pivot. Amid a tough year for the Hornets, Mark Williams has been one of the bright spots for the franchise. His ability to protect the rim, collect rebounds, and finish around the basket make him a key player for the team's future. The partnership with LaMelo Ball could become one of the cornerstones of Charlotte's rebuild, and his development will continue to be closely watched. If Williams continues his development, he could become one of the most dominant centers in the league in the coming years. Conclusion: the road to the playoffs. As the season unfolds, each game takes on even more importance. The Lakers have shown they can still compete with the best, but they need consistency. The Warriors are facing an identity crisis and may be facing the end of a winning era. Luka Dončić continues his brilliant path, potentially winning his first MVP, while Mark Williams continues his rise as one of the most promising young players in the NBA. With so many stories unfolding, all that's left for fans is to follow and enjoy every moment of the season's final stretch. The playoffs are approaching, and the decisive battles are yet to come. Season developments and playoff expectations. With a victory over the Warriors, the Lakers send a clear message to the rest of the NBA. They are still a team capable of competing at a high level. However, the journey to the playoffs will be a real test of fire for LeBron James and company. Consistency will be key to securing a favorable position in the standings and avoiding the risk of falling into the play-in. Coach Darvin Ham has the challenge of keeping his roster healthy and engaged. The performance of players like Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura could be the difference-maker in determining how far the Lakers can go. In addition, the arrival of potential reinforcements at the trade deadline could further strengthen the team for the decisive moments of the season. On the other hand, the Warriors need to react quickly. The era of dominance led by Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green may be coming to an end, and the franchise must decide whether to make aggressive moves to revitalize the roster or start preparing for a transition to a new cycle. The development of Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody may be indicative of the team's future, but inconsistency has been a constant problem at the moment. Luka Dončić and the mission to take Dallas to the top. Meanwhile, Luka Dončić continues his spectacular campaign. If the Mavericks can cement their place among the top seeds in the West, his name will be among the favorites for the MVP award. However, for Dallas to be a true title contender, it will take more than brilliant performances from Doncic and Kyrie Irving. The team needs defensive reinforcements and a more solid frontcourt to compete against opponents like the Nuggets, Clippers and Timberwolves in the playoffs. The Mavericks front office will have to evaluate whether it's worth betting big on a trade this season or if the project still needs more time to mature. Luka is at the peak of his talent, and Dallas can't waste this window of opportunity. Mark Williams e o futuro do Charlotte Hornets. Mark Williams continues to establish himself as one of the most promising players in the NBA. His ability to protect the rim and his physical presence in the paint give the Hornets a solid foundation for the future. With LaMelo Ball as the main name in the franchise, the chemistry between the two could become one of the pillars of the team's rebuild. The Charlotte Hornets still have a long way to go to become a competitive team, but Williams' growth is a positive sign that the franchise is on the right track. With patience and good moves in the market, the team can, in the coming years, move from the bottom of the table and return to fighting for a spot in the playoffs. What to expect from the rest of the season? With each team facing its own challenges, the final stretch of the regular season promises to be intense. The Lakers need consistency, the Warriors need answers, the Mavericks need reinforcements and the Hornets need patience to develop their young talent. The race for the playoffs will be unpredictable, and each game can make a difference in the final standings. All that's left for fans is to follow this battle closely and root for the epic moments that the NBA always provides. After all, when it comes to the most competitive league in the world, anything can happen. On the road to the playoffs, crucial decisions and emerging narratives. With the season winding down and the playoffs approaching, every game becomes a strategic battle. The Lakers, Warriors, Mavericks, and even emerging young talents like Mark Williams all have intriguing stories unfolding. The final stretch will be a true test of strength, endurance, and adaptation. Lakers, the search for stability and the roster question. After their decisive victory over the Warriors, the Lakers proved that they can still compete with the best. However, the big concern remains stability. Oscillations between great performances and unexpected losses have been a problem for the team. LeBron James continues to defy age and demonstrate why he is one of the greatest of all time. Anthony Davis, when healthy, is one of the most dominant players in the league. But the supporting cast needs to step up their game. Players like D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves have flashes of brilliance, but they need consistency. With the trade deadline approaching, the Lakers should consider adding new players to their roster to increase their depth. A reliable shooter or a versatile defender could make all the difference for the Los Angeles team in the playoffs. Warriors, the last breath or the beginning of a new cycle. For the Warriors, the situation is more delicate. The team still relies heavily on Stephen Curry, who remains one of the greatest shooters in history, but he cannot carry the team alone. Klay Thompson has been struggling and is no longer the same player he was before the injuries. Draymond Green remains the defensive anchor, but his temperamental behavior and the team's offensive limitations have hurt consistency. Coach Steve Kerr needs to find answers quickly, as this group's window for a title could be closing. If the Warriors decide to go all out this season, they could look to add reinforcements via trade. However, there's also an argument for beginning a transition, giving more minutes to youngsters like Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, paving the way for a new era in Golden State. Luka Dončić, MVP and the Mavericks' next step. Luka Dončić continues his journey to the top of the NBA. His numbers are impressive and his ability to decide games puts Dallas in a privileged position. The problem? The lack of a balanced roster. Kyrie Irving is a formidable offensive partner, but the team still needs more consistency on defense and in the paint. If the Mavericks want to be truly competitive in the playoffs, reinforcements are needed. A defensive center and more options on the bench could turn Dallas into a real title contender. If the Mavericks front office decides to be aggressive at the trade deadline, Luka may have his best chance yet to lead Dallas to the finals again. If they opt to keep the roster as is, they will rely on heroics from the Slovenian to survive in the West. Mark Williams, the pillar of the Hornets' future. While the NBA powers fight for the playoffs, Mark Williams continues to evolve in Charlotte. Amid a difficult season for the Hornets, the young center has been one of the team's few bright spots. His rim protection, rebounding and offensive development make him one of the most promising big men of the new generation. With LaMelo Ball by his side, the Hornets have two young pieces that could be key to rebuilding the franchise. The challenge for Charlotte will be developing Williams and Ball around a competitive roster. Patience will be required, but if the team makes the right moves, it could become a force in the East for years to come. Conclusion: what to expect from the final stretch of the season. The Lakers need to find consistency to solidify their position as contenders. The Warriors are at a turning point. Should they keep their core or start a makeover? Luka Dončić could win his first MVP, but he'll need help to challenge for a title. And Mark Williams continues to build his path as one of the great centers of the future. With the final stretch of the season approaching, every game will be a battle, and the playoffs promise to be one of the most competitive editions in recent years. The NBA remains unpredictable, and fans can expect great emotions until the last second. Tensions rise on the road to the postseason. As the regular season enters its final stretch, teams must make strategic decisions that could define their fates. The Lakers are fighting for stability, the Warriors are trying to keep their dynasty alive, the Mavericks are looking to get Luka Dončić the right pieces, and Mark Williams continues to establish himself as one of the league's most promising young prospects. With the playoffs approaching, the margin for error shrinks, and every game can change the course of the season. Lakers, LeBron's last chance for a new title? LeBron James' time in the NBA may be coming to an end, but his competitiveness remains unwavering. The Lakers have shown flashes of a team that can compete with anyone, but they've also demonstrated weaknesses that could prove fatal in the playoffs. The big question is, will the front office look for reinforcements at the trade deadline to increase their chances of winning a title? A defensive wing, an elite shooter or even a center to take the load off Anthony Davis could make the Lakers an even more dangerous team. If they can keep the roster healthy and find consistency, no one can doubt LeBron and Davis's ability to lead the team to another memorable postseason run. Warriors, the Big Three's last act? Golden State faces perhaps its biggest dilemma in years. With an aging roster and glaring inconsistencies, the inevitable question arises: is this a team still capable of competing for a title? If Stephen Curry continues to play at a high level, the Warriors always have a chance. But the reality is that the core of the team is no longer as brilliant as it was in its prime. Klay Thompson has struggled to maintain efficiency, and Draymond Green has struggled on and off the court. The exchange market may be a solution, but the franchise also needs to look to the future. Players like Kuminga and Moody need more room to grow. If the team can't put together a hot streak, the Warriors may have to accept that the end of an era is near. Luka Dončić, the most dominant player of the season? Luka Dončić has been carrying the Mavericks on his back and continuing his journey to the top of the NBA. If Dallas can put together a winning streak until the end of the season, Luka could become the favorite to win the MVP award. The big question for the Mavericks is to give their star player the support he needs to fight for the title. The partnership with Kyrie Irving has shown potential, but the team still needs defensive reinforcements and more depth in the roster. If the Dallas front office makes the right moves before the trade deadline, Doncic could have his best chance yet to lead the Mavericks to a conference finals, or even the NBA finals. Mark Williams, the pivot of the future. As superstars battle it out for the top spot, Mark Williams continues to emerge as one of the NBA's most intriguing young talents. His defensive presence in the paint and his offensive evolution make him an essential piece for the Hornets. With LaMelo Ball by his side, Williams could be one of the pillars of Charlotte's rebuild. The challenge now is to build a competitive roster around this duo and transform the Hornets into a team capable of competing in the playoffs in the coming years. What's next? With the season reaching its climax, the next few games will be crucial in determining the direction of the league. The Lakers will look for consistency, the Warriors will decide their future, the Mavericks will try to strengthen Luka Dončić, and Mark Williams will continue to prove his worth. The NBA is about to enter its most exciting phase yet, and fans can expect major upsets and historic moments until the end of the season. Who will make it to the playoffs stronger? Who will surprise? And who will be the ultimate champion at the end of it all? Only time will tell. The final sprint, pressure, adjustments, and decisions that will shape the playoffs. With the regular season drawing to a close, tensions between teams are only increasing. The battles for a direct spot in the playoffs and the play-in are getting more and more fierce, and each game can drastically change the positions in the table. For the Lakers, Warriors, Mavericks, and even rebuilding franchises like the Hornets, the next steps will be crucial for the future. Lakers, is the title window still open? The Lakers continue their roller coaster of performances, alternating between exciting wins and frustrating losses. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are undoubtedly the backbone of the team, but the team needs to prove that it can consistently win against elite opponents. One of the biggest issues that could make or break the team in the playoffs is the performance of the supporting cast. Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura need to step up their game, especially in big games. In addition, the Lakers could explore the market for specific reinforcements, such as a defensive wing or a center to ease Davis's load in the paint. If they can put together a strong run down the stretch, the Lakers could enter the playoffs as a team no one wants to face. Warriors, last stand or rebuild. Golden State is facing one of its most critical moments in the last decade. The team has enough talent to surprise in the playoffs, but defensive inconsistencies and a lack of offensive production outside of Curry are glaring problems. The franchise's dilemma is clear: make a bold move at the trade deadline and try to win another title with the current core, or accept that the winning cycle may be coming to an end. Kuminga and Moody have shown flashes of talent, but Steve Kerr needs to decide whether he's willing to give up minutes from veterans to speed up the team's transition. Regardless of what happens, the Warriors need to find a clear path forward, whether that's to fight for another title or to start planning for a post-Curry future. Luka Dončić, MVP, and the challenge of carrying Dallas. If there's one player who can completely change the course of the playoffs, it's Luka Dončić. With his logic-defying performances and impressive stats, the Mavericks star remains a top contender for the MVP award. However, if the Mavs want to seriously contend for a title, they will need to address a few issues. Defense has been a constant problem, and the team still lacks a dominant paint. The partnership with Kyrie Irving worked defensively, but roster depth could be an issue when the playoffs begin. The Dallas front office will have to decide whether to go big at the trade deadline to strengthen the team or rely on Luka's talent to take the Mavericks as far as possible. Mark Williams, the pillar of Charlotte's rebuilding. Away from the playoff race, the Hornets remain focused on developing their young talent. Mark Williams has been a key piece for the team's future, showing great potential as a dominant rim protector and rebounder. With LaMelo Ball leading the team, Charlotte needs to surround them with talent to build a competitive core for years to come. The franchise is still far from contending for anything significant, but Williams' growth is a positive sign for fans. What to expect from the final stretch of the season? With the race for the playoffs heating up, the next few games will determine the fate of many franchises. Can the Lakers find consistency and come out strong in the playoffs? Will the Warriors play one last card to keep the team competitive? Can Luka Dončić lead the Mavericks to the top and win their first MVP? Will Mark Williams continue his rise as one of the NBA's most promising young centers? The final stretch promises drama, intense rivalries, and decisive moments. The path to the title is open. Now it remains to be seen who will be ready to seize it. The big race: who will make the last push to secure their place in the playoffs? As the final weeks of the regular season approach, teams' focus will be on securing a solid playoff position, or at least fighting to stay in the play-in race. The choices made in the final days, whether in terms of tactical adjustments or trade moves, will be crucial in determining who the real contenders are for the title. The pressure will only increase as teams look to shore up their weaknesses, adjusting to survive the intensity and competition of the playoffs. Lakers, the challenge of consistency and the search for more pieces. The Lakers have already shown what they are capable of, but they still need to prove that they can maintain consistency in the most pressure-packed moments. LeBron James' health will always be a concern, but the real key to success for the Lakers will be their ability to adapt their game effectively throughout a playoff series. The team needs to be prepared to deal with explosive offenses and also avoid the defensive lapses that prevented them from reaching their highest level during the regular season. With the trade deadline approaching, Los Angeles's focus could be on bolstering its roster depth. An experienced defender and a reliable shooter can be key pieces that make a difference. If that happens, the Lakers will have a more balanced team to compete against Western Conference giants like the Denver Nuggets and Phoenix Suns. Warriors, the last attempt to return to the top? Golden State has Stephen Curry as one of the greatest players in NBA history, but the team has been marked by instability in recent seasons. The big question is whether the franchise can still take its last breath with the current core or whether the transition to a new cycle will begin. While the experience of Curry, Thompson, and Green is still a significant advantage, the limitations on the roster and the lack of depth, especially on defense and the bench, could be a significant obstacle. To maintain their status as playoff favorites, the team needs more contributions from youngsters like Kuminga and Moody, as well as finding ways to revitalize the defense and improve offensive consistency. Golden State's future could depend on the decisions they make down the stretch. Luka Dončić, a rising MVP, but he needs support. Luka Dončić continues to be one of the biggest attractions of the season, and his ability to carry the Mavericks is indisputable. But for Dallas to really have a chance of fighting for a title, the team needs to find more support for the Slovenian. Kyrie Irving has been a great offensive option, but the lack of defensive balance and roster depth are still the main challenges. The big test for Dallas will be how the franchise addresses its weaknesses at the trade deadline. If they can bring in quality pieces to complement Doncic, the team could become a serious threat in the playoffs. Otherwise, relying on Luka's individual performances may not be enough to keep up with the Western powers. Mark Williams and the Hornets, building the foundation of the future. While the league's big names compete for the top spots, the Hornets continue their rebuilding process. Mark Williams has been one of the most pleasant surprises of the season, showing that he can be an impactful center on both ends of the floor. His presence in the paint brings a promising future for Charlotte. With LaMelo Ball as their leader, the Hornets have a solid foundation to build on for years to come. If they can make the right moves to further strengthen the roster, Charlotte could become a competitive team in the coming cycles, perhaps not this season, but with an eye on the future. What to expect from the upcoming playoff season? What's at stake now for teams chasing a playoff spot is more than just getting to the final games. It's about preparing for the most intense competition of the season. For the Lakers, Warriors, and Mavericks, the final weeks will be a test of their ambitions, while the Hornets are building their foundation for a promising future. From trade deadline decisions to the way teams deal with injuries and tactical adjustments, the NBA never ceases to amaze. The fate of several teams will be decided at the last minute, and fans can expect more surprises and twists and turns before the playoffs arrive.